I usually start doing a lot of research and mostly a lot of conceptual research. And then, of course, that first conversation with the directors gives me quite a bit of direction to go in. And in terms of like collaboratively, through that process, I'm trying to get something that they're after, as well as something that's kind of grabbing me. Usually I find a few pieces of research that are like pieces of research that kind of are speaking the most to all of us, and kind of build from there.
Do you have like a design board or a vision
do,
board
yeah,
that you work from?
Yeah, I kind of grab a lot of research and then whittle it down to the best few that will make the board, share that with everybody, and give him warnings about, hey, I'm thinking about like a whole bunch of
planks.
A lot of, like for the show, is a lot of wood and a bunch of jars everywhere. Hey, electrics, we're talking about a lot of practical jars. So I try to start sounding off warning bells for people. That's part of how I kind of keep the conversation rolling before we've got anything like concrete down. So that way I know that I'm not doing something that's going to be way out of our league, and they're giving me some thumbs up, at least a little bit of, yeah, before I start going too crazy.
Now, do you start with a drawing and do you do a 3D model, or does it not get to a 3D model? Is it just a drawing and you're communicating with Dave, and Dave, you're just good enough to say, I can do that? Or are you crazy?
Yeah. I mean,
You do a variety.
I do a variety of things. It kind of depends on the show, but I'll do a 3D rendering, which is sort of like a rough, sketchy version, and then I'll do full drafted drawings for him, which, you know, some days are better than others.
By the time you get to the drawings, we've kind of got it figured out.
Yeah, we've talked a lot already.
What it's going to be. So.
And if I have like questions of like, I don't know, can we do this, or can we make this? Like, what's the best way we should make this? And we'll be conversing about all that before, ideally, I'm drawing everything. And then some things happen after. He'll ask me questions about, what does this mean? Or how do you want to do this?
And what would surprise people about the building of a set, because it seems like they take forever to go up, and then it takes like, I know it doesn't take 6 seconds to come down, but it seems like when you see these videos of striking a set, it's just, so what would, I guess, surprise people about the building process and actually executing the design?
I think something that we do really well is reuse stock. Mm-hmm. We don't have huge budgets, but we do big shows. So I think what we do really well here is reuse stock platforms, stock flats, and we get a lot of years out of those things. Mm-hmm. So we're able to do much bigger looking shows by just reusing and recycling as much as we can. I'd love to do more, but of course storage is always the issue. Mm-hmm. You can only have so much that you can keep and reuse.
And I try to plan in things too,
like last year.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Like last year,
39 steps and
yeah. So I knew we were doing 39 steps. So last Theater Fest. So I knew as we were going into that show that we could possibly use a proscenium for cabaret as well in the next school year. So. I know that that's a place where we can invest some time and money into something that's going to see multiple uses. So that we'll go like all out on what that looks like, so that it looks really nice for not just that show, but several shows. Or I'll build things like, okay, well, this isn't a lot of scenery, but I want to make like, so we have a turntable that we can keep and reuse. And so if a show presents itself that would work really well to do that, but isn't a lot of other scenery, then we can sort of invest the time and energy into those things that we would then take and use, and then can build on top of for the next thing, and now it seems like twice as much scenery.
And how do,
So, yeah, what he just said.
Yeah.
what he said, how does good set design contribute to the storytelling? What are some of those kind of, I don't know, invisible elements that audiences may not be consciously aware of, but that are kind of part of that subconscious storytelling?
So working with a lot of, elements of design, like it's sort of basic design principles of, things like color, like different colors kind of do different things for people and their emotional state, et cetera, and kind of being aware of things like that so that you can use those things like tools is the best way to do that kind of stuff. What is a good example? I don't know. Yeah.
Well, color, I think,
Color is
telling
a
a story
really good
through
example.
color is
Yeah.
a really good communication tool.
Yeah, but there are other more subtle ones too, like the way lines work and the way shapes work and how people, people walk into shows with baggage about what they think some shows even look like, and so you can kind of play with those things, and more molding means more fancy, more like there's sort of shorthand to what people expect to see in certain things that you can, if you know that, you can manipulate to sort of get across the ideas that you're hoping to help reinforce related to the show.
And so this year, there's a little bit of a different Theater Fest element that we
Yeah.
have this Meet the Makers, which kind of happened
Yeah.
online last year. They had these like different blog posts where they introduced a lot of you virtually to
Yeah.
people. But this year, people are going to actually get to meet you and take tours. And
Yeah.
so how do you feel about kind of stripping down that fourth wall and letting people in on the theater magic, per se?
Well, I love it. I think it's a great, it's a very misunderstood thing. I think when you were talking about the thing that people might be surprised by the most, I think honestly, just how many people and how much time it takes. It's something as basic as that, I think a lot of people don't really realize. So being able to bring people in and to see everything and chat with us and get a bigger, broader picture of like the entire community of the theater and not just community theater.
Maybe more of an appreciation.
Yeah, no, it's, understanding, in anything goes a long way toward,
Yeah, so much of the audience only sees the actors.
yeah,
There's so many other people that are doing a lot of work, and that's
Yeah.
what a lot of the talks are going to be about. How presenting the actors. So
Yeah.
I think that would be very interesting. And then just being able to tour the space too, because this was never built as a theater.
yeah,
It's built in 1925 as the gymnasium. So
Yeah.
it's definitely an interesting space how it was now kind of carved up and created. So.